This is Darryn Peterson, and he's one of the best guard prospects we have seen in years. In what could be one of the best NBA draft classes of all time, Peterson might be the number one pick. But it's not his talent that has people talking. Rather, it's him pulling himself out of games, having mysterious injuries, and off-the-court antics that has everyone wondering, do you draft Peterson number one, or is it too much of a risk? So let's take a deeper look at Darryn Peterson and see why he is one of the most polarizing players in recent memory. Peterson looked like a star as soon as he started high school basketball. He averaged over 26 points per game as a freshman and followed that with a 31 point per game sophomore season. Although he was from Ohio, he took the path that many major recruits do and played his last two high school seasons at different prep schools. That junior season was spent at Huntington Prep in West Virginia, and then he would transfer for his senior season to Prolific Prep in California. Peterson was a consensus 5-star recruit during that time and was named a McDonald's All-American. He had prototypical NBA size in high school, standing at 6'5" with a 6'10" wingspan. He was already extremely smooth and had an explosive first step, and on top of that was able to score easily at all three levels. Both 24/7 Sports and ESPN had him ranked as the number one recruit nationally, while On3 had him ranked second. Peterson also took home the Naismith Basketball Boys High School Player of the Year award and had offers from the top schools all around the country. He became the first high school recruit to sign an NIL deal with Adidas, and his final four schools were Kansas, Kansas State, Ohio State, and USC. Peterson would eventually sign with Kansas, the only Adidas school on that list. He became the Jayhawks' highest-ranked recruit since Josh Jackson in 2016. He would cite Kansas head coach Bill Self and the culture around the program as his reasons for committing. After committing, he told reporters he would be dialed in immediately and wouldn't be looking back or ahead, which is definitely interesting now with what we've seen. The college basketball world knew that Peterson was going to be good as soon as he stepped on campus. He was named the preseason Big 12 Freshman of the Year, and his ability has been nothing short of special, but it's his availability that has NBA scouts worried and the college basketball world wondering what is going on. His play on the court makes him look like the easy number one pick, and that's in a draft class with AJ Dabonsa, Cam Boozer, and Caleb Wilson. Peterson absolutely looks the part of an NBA star shooting guard, but the strange injuries, his coach questioning him, and the controversies around his camp have some wondering if he'll fall in the draft. Let's start by talking about the good and his play this season. Peterson and the Jayhawks opened up the year with a tune-up game against Green Bay. In that game, he would play just 22 minutes, scoring 21 points on 7 of 11 shooting, but him not playing much would be a sign of things to come. But where Peterson would really introduce himself to the college basketball world was in that next game against North Carolina. It was a hyped matchup against another top 25 team with a top 5 pick in Caleb Wilson. Peterson kept knocking down tough shots at all three levels in the first half and was already showing why he would end up being such a high pick in the next NBA draft. He dropped 22 points on 8 of 14 shooting, but it ultimately wouldn't be enough as Caleb Wilson and North Carolina would come away from that with a 13-point win. And after this game, the controversy with Peterson would begin. That game against North Carolina came on November 7th, and Peterson would not play again until December 7th. It was being called a hamstring strain, and Kansas head coach Bill Self believed it would not be a long-term deal. And Peterson would play again on December 7th against rival Missouri. But he would see limited time, only playing 23 minutes and still scoring 17 points. In Kansas' next game against NC State, Peterson would play 31 minutes, but checked himself out with 2:15 to go in a game that would end up in overtime. He still put up 17 points, but it left the college basketball world wondering what was going on. When asked about it, head coach Bill Self said he just thought Peterson was getting tight, and he mentioned that it had happened in every game this season, and he was just happy Peterson made it that deep into the game. That game was on December 13th, and Peterson wouldn't play again until January 3rd. He missed both the Davidson and Towson games with a new injury that was being called quadricep cramping. And what's so crazy about Peterson is he would come back on January 3rd like nothing happened and drop 26 points on UCF in a loss. On January 20th, Peterson did sprain his ankle against Colorado, but would be fine and play the next few games. He had seemed to be fine again and had been playing normal minutes, but on January 31st and on February 18th, Peterson dealt with major cramping issues and saw limited minutes. On January 31st against BYU, and another option to be the top pick in this year's NBA draft, AJ Dabonsa, Peterson would face his cramping issues and only play in 20 minutes, but still put up 18 points on 6 of 8 shooting. The only time for the rest of the season that cramps was an issue for Peterson was against Oklahoma State on February 18th, where he dropped 23 points in just 18 minutes. But that brings us to the one other thing that happened during the season that had everyone confused. On February 9th, just before the Jayhawks were set to match up with number 1 Arizona, Peterson would be ruled out with flu-like symptoms right before tip-off. He had looked good to go right before the game and warmed up, just to then be announced as out that close to game time in a hyped matchup. This, of course, sparked media and fans to talk about it and get annoyed with Peterson missing yet another game. And whether it's fair or not, that just seems to be what comes with being one of the top prospects in your class. It's fans and media being disappointed and wanting to see what you were going to do against a team of that caliber. But after the flu-like symptoms on the 9th and the cramping again on February 18th, Peterson remained relatively healthy, playing over 30 minutes in 7 of the 9 remaining games. Kansas did enough in the regular season to have a 2-day bye in the Big 12 tournament and would eventually meet TCU in the 3rd round. And although he wasn't the most efficient, he still got to the line and shot 16 free throws, making 13 and ending the game with 24 points and 8 boards. They would get bounced by Houston in the next round and be forced to await their fate for March Madness. When Selection Sunday came around, the Jayhawks would be given a 4 seed and be matched up with Cal Baptist. Kansas dominated for most of the game, and Peterson was a large part of that, putting up 28 points on 45.8% shooting. In the round of 32, they would be matched up with a physical St. John's team. It was a super close game in which Peterson put up 21 points and had 4 blocks, but would ultimately fall short, losing by just 2 points. And that game would end Peterson's polarizing Kansas career.